the president of the International Council of Domino and former president of the Jamaica diaspora. Sorry, Jamaica diaspora. I'm so used to saying that. The Jamaica Domino Association. So, Livingston, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Great to see you. So
good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon to everyone. I just want to take a few minutes to share with you the good memories of the years that Rudy Page just introduced to us. I was integrally involved, and I can say those were good days. And I at that point had figured that Domino had reached the point where it will be worldwide acclaim. I'm one of the disappointed person to see that we put a pause on it, and we were not able to continue that great progress that we were making. When I get involved with Rudy Page, I see somebody with a vision, just like myself, because I know within myself then that Domino could have made it just like any other sports, be it cricket, be it boxing, be it football. And we were on our way, sponsorship-wise, discipline-wise, in playing the game, etc., etc. But for whatever reason, we were not able to continue carrying the flag.
Right.
So those were good days for me. Speaking of the World Cup done by Oceania, we had very good guest speakers, very good sponsorship, very good highest level of discipline playing, and the presentation was excellent.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to come back to that now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask some of our other early stalwarts from that time, Milford, Ruddy and Sandra, to give their perspectives, particularly in those early years, just before we got to the World Cup.
Hello. I hope you can see us. I'm actually here with Milton. I don't know why he's hiding. We're actually sharing a screen.
He's sharing a screen.
He doesn't like technology, so, you know, we're here together. I think I should really let Milton talk first, because I think I came into Domino's as a woman, especially a lot later than obviously a lot of these guys like Milton and Roddy, obviously members of my Domino club. So maybe I should let Milton have a chat. And
yeah, it's that 1991 time, just as the build up before the first tour, after Sheffield beat, was it Sheffield? I didn't want to.
Please don't start that.
I'm gonna let Milton talk a little bit about that. I think in '91, I remember I had my son, and I mean he's coming up to 30 now.
Please don't start that.
Roddy, you can't keep interrupting me like that, sweetie. Hold on. So I'm gonna let Milton talk about that, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Just for those of you that don't actually know who I am, I'm Sandra Borland, and I'm actually secretary for Cosmopolitan Sports and Social Club. I have been vice chair for various other leagues, and I've been involved with Domino's for well over 30 odd years. And I'll come back later on and maybe talk about women's role within Domino's, as I've helped to formulate a ladies team in the last 2 years.
Excellent. Milton, over to you, then we'll go to Ruddy.
Yeah, I'm Milton Johnson. I'm sorry, Mr. Pinnock, that we can't see you at the moment in time. But as you said beforehand, you know, about the vision that you had and Rudy had, I think quite a few of us had the same kind of vision, but it's just that we couldn't push through with it. I don't know why or what the reason was, but it seemed as if we lost our way somewhere along the line. As Rudy was saying, in 1991, when we had the league, British Domino League in over here and in England, and we Cosmo played Sheffield in the final, and we lost out by a couple of points, but that's just how it is. And you know, we did come down to Jamaica with Sheffield, and you know, at least we did had to give them a hand to play against the Jamaican team, which they just couldn't handle them. But we came to the match a little bit light. Are you hearing?
Yeah. So, are you still hearing, Milton?
You still hearing me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going, Milton. Keep going.
Yeah, we did come to the match a bit late down at La Rousse. I can remember that down there, and we did show that the Jamaican team that they were Jamaican, well, that there were players who come from England who could also play the game, because they think that because we come from England, you know, they don't seem to realize that we all come off of the same branch. You see, and that we're all Jamaican and all that we can play the game, and well, some can play it better than some and things like that. But you know, we did come down there, we had a great time. And with Livingston and myself and Rudy and things like that, you know, the rapport was quite good, but we just couldn't seem to get that jump to go ahead to what we want to do. I mean, although we travel all around the world, like Cuba, we're as far as field as Singapore, which was that was brilliant, you know, when we went to Singapore and things like that. And when you tell people, especially over here, that we traveled that far, they're saying, what? Domino can't take it in place. Just say yes. People over here are, I'm gonna be quite blunt.
Not too blunt, please.
No, what I'm saying is that when we try was to get into the like athletics and things like that, you know, and you try to say that we want to prove Domino as a sport, and we find it quite hard because people over here didn't take it that serious. They thought it was a game that you just play in a pub, in a bar.
In fact, as you say that though, Milton, sometimes, and before I come to you, Ruddy, our culture, when I say our culture now, I'm talking about Caribbean people, right? Whether you're Caribbean here, US, Canada, in the Caribbean itself, is that we're on a high ground and we don't need to compare with other cultural activities. Because if you think about the original World Cup, Domino World Cup, that was admired by so many people.
Yeah, I know.
You see what I mean? And interestingly enough, which you all wouldn't know, is after the first tour or during the first tour, I may have mentioned, but people could have forgotten. But the first tour with Sheffield, remember Jamaica National sponsored the evening.
Yes.
The Jamaica National Building Society in them
yes.
days. And we went to a reception and everything. And then the next day, somebody came to me and said to me that it's late now. The late Senator Alfred Rattray wanted to speak to the person who arranged the tour. So I went to see him in his office in Kingston. So you're talking about one of the top, I mean, he was a former representative for Jamaica in the US. So Rattray, Patterson Rattray tells you what, what firm that is. And he said, when I went to see him, he asked me to explain about the Domino tour, how it had come about, what we had done, and commended that we had actually left the UK and represented ourselves, or yourselves really, because obviously I wasn't a player, and that the Domino players actually represented themselves very well internationally. And he said at the time, whatever I can do to assist you with any future tours to Jamaica, then I would assist. And that's why, if you notice, that every tour we always had an opening and there was always a government minister there to support. If you think back to all the tours. So I just mentioned that in the sense, and so that there was a recognition of the social and economic and the cultural esteem that Domino players from the UK, and then with their counterparts led by Livingston Pinnock later on, the respect, and obviously all the media coverage as well. As you remember, we had considerable media coverage both here and in Jamaica. So I just mentioned that as a kind of a background to support what both you and Livingston have said. So the framework was there, but obviously we're going to come to some of the other challenges around that. So Ruddy, over to you, sir.
Can I see?
You've disappeared now. You need to unmute yourself.
The best time when I realized how serious Domino could be was the first World Cup in Jamaica in 93. Then when I realized the page was doing so much for Domino was our Cuban tour.
Yes.
Twice we went to Cuba, but the first time was more greater than all when we all marched behind our national flag.
Yes.
The Englishman was behind the Union Jack. The Jamaican was behind the gold, green, and black thing, and the Cuban behind their flags. That made me proud to know that was Domino. And then to back it all up now, when we went to Singapore, which, as Milton said before, when we tell people we went to Singapore to play dominoes, it was they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe it. When I went to Singapore, my partner one time was an executive of some firm, which she was a woman. And we were sitting there playing dominoes and shaking each other's hands at all times. That made me feel big to know Domino was getting so great.
Yeah.
As Milton says, how it fall back, I don't know. Yeah. I won't say it now, but I know why.
All right, let's talk about something. Let's talk about the good times for the moment.
But the good times was, our tours to Jamaica was always great.
Yeah.
And the next two was Cuba twice.
Yeah.
Singapore for me. I didn't go Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't went to Canada.
What was significant about Singapore as well? So not only did we leave here, the UK, and travel, was it 11 or 13 hours, whatever it was?
15 hours.
Right. How many?
15 hours.
15 hours. I know it was many hours.
One of my best flights I've ever had.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
But the point
when I was coming off the plane, I got a paper bag full of drinks to share out.
Okay.
So, we had some great times in Domino.
And what was good was that, if you remember, when we were at the hotel, which again, no other hotel has really done this for Domino's, compared to what the Singaporeans did.
Mhm.
I mean, each country had their, you know, the things that they did best in their best way. But if you remember, and I've still got the information, the Singaporeans actually produced a special program about the domino players, and then also said that if you wanted to get some tips on how to play dominoes, they could join in. And if you remember, the general manager who came from Germany, he loved playing dominoes. And then you had the air crew from, I think it was Kuwait Airlines or one of those airlines. The crew, they loved playing dominoes as well. And then,
they enjoy the way we played it.
yeah, and then you remember the again where we did the cross-cultural domino tournament. So we had one person from Singapore, one person from the UK Caribbean team playing as pairs, and we had that as a cultural competition, so that the winning pair would also obviously be one person from each culture, and that just said it all. And then all the music that was played across all the weekends, I think it was Jetstar here in London who gave me about 40 videos, not videos, CDs, I should say. Hugh France, he was in charge of the marketing. So all the music that was being played across all the weekend, all that Caribbean music came from Jetstar. And of course, we left all the music there as well, because again, it was just another way of saying that Caribbean people had been here, was here, Caribbeans was here over in Singapore. And in fact, a few months later, the general manager of the hotel, so that was Shangri-La Hotels, Rasa Sentosa. So we stayed on the island of Sentosa
Island.
that was called Rasa.
Beautiful island.
And I met him. He came to London. He said, I'm coming to London. I'd like to sit down and just talk to you, because the way your group came to Singapore, took from one culture and just showed the togetherness that people can produce as being friendly from one culture to another. And we had lunch, and he just was amazed. He was trying to find out from me, how is it that we managed to get to Singapore from the UK with the game of dominoes, if you think of it. So that's people traveling with packs of dominoes, leaving the UK and going to Singapore with packs of dominoes and having that impact. And of course, the tour, we made a TV program.
I'm remembering right. Rudy, if I remember clearly, I think they wanted it to be a yearly thing for them.
Yeah.
Also travel there.
Yes.
They were thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I did start some negotiations.
All these things were missed out.
Yeah. I mean, people, our people, let's just say, as I said, we don't always realize that what we have everything in our hands culturally. And it's a challenge for us to have a mindset that says, this is good what we've got, let's make it better. And let's collaborate. Yes. That was the key. That was the key thing.
And Rudy, in front of you and behind your back, I give you 100%
Thank you.
of what you were doing for Domino. And, can't see you no more.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, and I hope one day it might return.
Well, I said to Livingston and to Dean, the only way I would get involved in international domino again, in the serious way, if it was about youth development, a youth tournament.
Right.
If you remember the original London Domino Festival that we had was it in Peckham? You remember Peckham Baths, I think it was, the original one.
Dulwich,
that's it. Dulwich. I think that's a block of flats now, I think, that place. And we're on
Dulwich Bath, on it.
Yeah, that's it, Dulwich Bath, wasn't it? That we were on ITV if you remember as well.
Yes, yes.
And we had our little youth domino championship, and that cup, that trophy, which I still have, which I'll go and get it and show you. That trophy was actually sponsored by my old bosses, Dyke and Dryden, Len Dyke and Dudley Dryden. I went to see Mr. Dyke. I said, because he was asking me about the dominoes and what we're doing, and he said it's a good thing. And I said, yeah, we're going to actually launch a youth domino championship, because at the time, if you remember, Cosmo had the team. We had a team from Harrow, which had my kids in and things like that. And he said, oh, okay, we'll sponsor the trophy. And at the time, I remember the trophy was about £65. So, you know, it's a good solid trophy.
Yeah, good.
And that's Mr. Dyke and Mr. Dryden, you know. So I mentioned that. So Sandra, can I just, before I come to Dean, did you play in the women's international match at Maypen, sponsored by Courts? Did you play in that match?
I've just been trying to.
She wasn't there,
I don't
Rudy.
think I was. I don't think
No,
I was there for that actual.
she wasn't.
I was at one of the other ones.
Right.
I mean, but just going back just a little bit, just the Singapore one.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I went to Singapore. Yeah, I was one of those lucky ladies that went to Singapore, and I was also fortunate to be able to take my boys.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Singapore had a very, very big impact on my sons. And would you believe now? I mean, my oldest son, I think at the time was maybe about 8.
Yeah, something about
About
that.
8.
Yeah.
I mean, he's now, you know, engaged. He's got 4 children of his own. Can you? So I'm just showing you how time has gone.
Yeah.
He's got 4 children of his own, and he and my younger son, it's always been their ambition and their passion to go back to Singapore. And they keep talking about it. They keep talking about it. And I mean, it's a shame. I think the way Domino's is going at the moment, where, you know, we had a lot of younger people that were obviously in our club. We're a very aging club now, and trying to get the younger kids a lot more involved in the sport of domino. I think we've kind of let them down a little bit because they're not taking as much interest. I find that it's maybe kind of skipped my boys to a degree, and my grandchildren are more involved in playing dominoes than my sons are.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we kind of try to rectify some of that to get some of the youths more involved. And I think it's been just, I think sometimes we make a rod for our own back. As I've heard what you said, and a lot of the things that were actually there and was there for us to grab onto and to move forward with, it hasn't happened for a variety of reasons, which I won't really go into, because that's going to be my own personal view, and I don't want to be doing that. I'm trying to speak very general here, right?
Of course, and again, I guess this discussion is also lessons learned for our own community.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's important, really. One thing that this generation, let's say our generation who did those things, just talking about it to get our communities to understand that the high ground is the culture that you're in, the things that you do, that is the high ground. And if you respect it, it can raise the self-esteem, economically as well.
Definitely.
Do many things.
I mean, you think of, I mean, for me, again, I'm not a great domino player like some of these guys. They've been playing dominoes from when, but I've always had this love for dominoes. And when I think of the things that I've been involved with, either through yourself or whatever, I mean, we've been on the radio, we've been on TV. Do you know what I mean? We've been to so many different places, and I've questioned, and I've been vice chair for the league, I've been secretary for the leagues, and so on. And I still question, why haven't we got further? Why couldn't we be like where darts is now? That, do you know what I mean? And I will always kind of question that. But, you know, we're only a few out of so many.
Yes.
And everybody's got to be on the same platform and want to aim and get the same, head for the same goal.
Yeah.
But you know, if we're going to come back and just to put one little negative spin on it, we need to stop being so greedy. And that's where a lot of the problems come down to.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm going to say on that. Because there's a lot of positives. No, there's a lot of positives that have definitely come out of Domino's. We can all speak about our own personal pursuits and our own personal joys and things that we've got out of Domino's. Because Domino's to me is one of the greatest sports and greatest social platforms
Absolutely.
that there's going.
Yeah,
you know, I've met a lot of people. I've traveled the whole of England playing dominoes. I can't say I've traveled to all of the countries that maybe some of you have traveled to, but I've had that opportunity to travel to some of those countries. But if you're talking about the UK, I've been everywhere because of dominoes. And you know, people look at me at times, and friends of mine will say to me, "God, Sandra, I can't believe that you're really involved with dominoes. You don't look like someone. What does someone who that loves dominoes? What are they supposed to look like?"
Stereotype.
So dominoes is for everyone, and it's, you know, my dad taught me how to play dominoes. There's 6 of us. I'm the only one that took it on board.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. I had a husband who loved dominoes. We joined a domino club. Via coming from cricket, that was because I was more involved in cricket in them days and being their scorer, and I got involved in dominoes via that. So for me, over 30 odd years, I'm still involved in dominoes to some degree.
Okay, Ruddy, he's got his hand up. You need to unmute yourself, Ruddy.
One thing before I go, let me say this.
Yeah.
With where Domino has taken me, I have to say about the world, because not just England, because when you go to Cuba, Singapore, as far as Singapore, a night and day travel, God bless you, Mr. Page. Without you, I would know even my own country, Jamaica, places that I know in Jamaica because of Domino. Thank you very much, Mr. Page.
Thank
and
you.
I wish one day I could hear you say Domino is back on the scene.
Talking about that, you remember the first couple of tours that some people hadn't been back to Jamaica for 10, 20 years, and they would
like me.
Gone back. They would never have gone back if it wasn't for the tours.
What you have done for Domino for us, a lot of us, and places, even people that goes back to Jamaica regular, but the places that we know in Jamaica because of Domino and because through you on the Domino tours, after Domino and we go on tours, we only know it as Jamaican. And I thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Before I come back to you, Livingston, I'm just going to let Dean introduce himself and his team from Kingston 7. Jamaica.
Well, I don't know where to start because I'm half British and I'm here in Jamaica, but I'm
half British.
But I'm 100% Jamaican, no sugar, no cream.
Well, I'm 100% Jamaican as well.
You know, I have represented Jamaica as an ambassador in the scouting for over the past 13 years. You know, I've trained Eagle Scout here in America. I've trained, you know, and I've worked very much in the community tours in Jamaica, in Hermitage. I'm originally from Hermitage. I'm also a part of the global diaspora, and my mission, like Rudy, is to give back to our community and our country. And I've taken on a personal project from where I was going, which is in Hermitage, that is in Kingston 7. And I have good news for you guys. Domino will be back because presently we have two persons from Hermitage now, Student 99, that is Sean, and Sophia, she's a part of the sports committee, female sports committee, and we are ready. You guys have the trophy, you guys have the money. So we have the team at Hermitage, so you can all, we have a team, we have everything. All we wanted was just the trophy and the winning prize. So I grew up playing domino, and let me tell you something, as Muta Baruka said, whether it's then, was, and now, if you can't take the eat, do not go in the kitchen. No, it's a tough game. You know, you gotta check your pressure before you start to play domino. And
It's true.
so don't think it's for the chicken. So whether it's now or then, or you know, but you gotta outline rules and regulation that, you know, there are different types of domino. There are code domino, there are non-code domino, there are French domino. So if you're gonna play domino, you might say no code, but man, go and scratch them head, box them.
Of course, same way. We know that.
Same way.
But don't worry, it's getting alive. It's alive, and we're here to fulfill your dreams. We just started a citizen association. This evening, I'm going to be having a meeting with the scout from Augustown, Uptown, Link Up. We're going to be starting a scout group. And I know Augustown, Goldsmith Villa, all Kentire Tavern, by next year, we'll be waiting for you guys. And we have young people be a part of it. And we're going to be having female teams. So our drop back was just the trophy and the money. So once you guys have all of these, so you rest assured, things is back, man. You know, no, we say no problem, man and woman, man. We have it.
And
Mr. Page gone.
yeah.
So we have Sophia.
Look, and listen. And one thing I like about Jamaica, from we've been traveling there playing domino, we never have a problem. No war, no fight, no problem. Everybody was beautiful, loving, and nice. And we thank Jamaica for that.
And I want to tell you, I am here in Connecticut. I don't know how many of you guys have ever been to Connecticut before, but Connecticut is noted for where the farm workers used to come. So for over the past 50 years, that's how the West Indian Social Club started. But when the farm work come to Connecticut, I know Jamaican have to find a domino table. So after work, they went and they went into this club. And from them find the club, the dominoes start to play, and then they have a domino tournament. Then from that until now, if you come to Connecticut and don't go to the West Indian Social Club, you know, you don't come to Connecticut. And it is through domino and our cultural program why the club has started, and they celebrated their, I think it's 58th anniversary. You know, so that's a part of, yeah, man. Sophia, she's a part of my community, and she's working with the young people, working with the female to get there. As I said, everybody willing, ready, and waiting. So you give us the go ahead. And once we leave this program, and you said, all I want to say yes. That's all we need. Yes, nothing more. Your team is waiting. Your facility is there. We provide facility for you. Sophia, look at that trophy, you know, that coming straight. All right, Sophia, you tell them girls that there's a trophy in England. I will escort it down. I'm gonna go to England to go down with that trophy when it's coming, okay?
Are we still on, Mike?
You're the Yankee man, I threaten away.
Is one thing, Dean. Can you hear me? Yeah? Is one thing, you know, I mean, it's good that you guys out there looking forward to us coming back down there to do all these things. And, you know, with all the youngsters and the middle-aged one and the old one and whatever. But at the moment in time, we have bigger problem. Yes, until you get the vaccine, my friend, you know, see me down there.
Well, let me tell you something. You see what I'm eating. See, by the might see me still. I've been through the COVID. I had COVID.
Okay.
give me that same Jamaican remedy, honey, lime, and you exercise. I mean, right now at the nurse's home, I was in a nurse's home for like over a year, you know, all I'm talking, you know, over a year and a half. People have been dying left, right, and center. But I never leave out my honey and my lime. I'm a drink up my liquor tonic and my green. I don't know why I don't poison myself because this just to pick up everything green. So I went and I buy everything green and blend it up. So I have my green smoothie and like exercise. I don't stay in the bed. I just keep moving, and I worship every morning with my mother.
I drink lime, garlic,
Aye.
and ginger.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's if I'm not saying that it could, because right now I'm in a home and I have two nurses, so I can't have them food here. I have my nurse's aide. And around 2 weeks ago, all of them came, work with me for the weekend, went back to work on Monday. And when she came Thursday, she get a call, so she can't stay because she just tested positive with the COVID.
Oh dear.
Somebody working with me last weekend.
Sorry,
So if you have food, she's okay now. But I'm saying if you start to worry about it, it could come right in your house. So enjoy enjoy your moment now. You don't have to go to Jamaica. It can happen right there. That's what I'm trying to say. Just
right
enjoy
here.
your moment each time, each hour. Oh, Rudy, you're muted, Rudy. Sorry. I don't know if you were saying something.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Livingston now. Livingston, you still
Okay.
there? And just,
Yeah, I'm here.
I remember, well, we remember how impressed we used to be with the organization of the Jamaica team in their uniforms and things. And I don't know if you remember, Milton and Ruddy, that in 1992, there was actually two Jamaica teams. There was two groups who said that they were going to represent Jamaica. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
Or knew that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
we remember.
So
I don't
what
think
happened?
there's much out there in Jamaica that's happening out in Jamaica that we don't remember.
Right. So there were two teams. So what happened? I went to a meeting in Duke Street because Mr. Pinnock used to have an office there in Duke Street.
Yeah, I remember.
Right. So I went to the meeting and I said to them, we're not coming all the way from London to Jamaica with this World Championship. And it was September 1992. I said, we're not coming all the way from the UK to Jamaica to have some confusion, basically, that there's two teams. So as far as I'm concerned, we only recognize one team in Jamaica, and that has to be led by Mr. Pinnock and his assistant, and then everybody else has to get behind that team, because there's only going to be, you know, one Jamaica team, and that was at Duke Street, and
Yeah,
I was able to get out with no problems either.
Yeah, well, you see,
You know, Domino players.
sometimes Mr. Livingston and him copy them, you know, I'm not even going to say Livingston really, but some of them copy them, you see. They might try for Shanghai people, you see. And, you know, carry on them kind of eruption about A team and B team and all them kind of things.
Remember that? Yes, yeah.
Remember that? So, you know, as you said, just one team, and we just come and we just play one team. It's down to them to select them one team.
Yeah. So Livingston, we'll bring you in here.
Yes,
Give me that.
I vividly remember the history. However, you know, we were able to come together and create the atmosphere that was desired by the fraternity.
Big time, yeah.
So we, as I do remember, is that the tournaments after that, they were exciting. Most of all, to me, that this is a criteria of mine in the game. The discipline was at the highest level. Players go into ring in their uniform, and honestly, at this moment, I am still encouraged to see that everywhere in the world now, where domino matches are being played, the teams are identified by their jerseys, and that's a good step for domino. But in Jamaica, in particular, the national team was not just the jersey; their pants also, and their shoes.
Yeah.
Was well put together. And as the previous speakers speak highly of Rudy with his leadership, I too can endorse that. It was with great pleasure of mine to work with Rudy Page in carrying the game forward. And I'm one of the disappointed ones to see that a lot of us did not really realize the mission, and at some point the crab in the barrel come into place. And I mean, we are Jamaicans, so we know what the crab in the barrel mean.
Yeah,
Remember,
And
we're broadcasting to
We know what it means.
We're broadcasting
Yeah,
to
but-
the world. Remember.
yeah, but the crab in the barrel, and that
I know it.
and that brings in a form of discouragement.
Yeah, just call it-
Discouragement within the leader.
Yeah.
When you're hearing and seeing these things, it only creates discouragement
Yeah.
within the leadership.
Yeah. it's-
And for me, I think that's where the declining started. I used to look at some of my players in Jamaica and I said, gentlemen, in particular the men, I said, gentlemen, what are we doing to encourage younger folks to come into this
yeah.
domino game? What are we doing? We don't invite with sons too much. We don't invite with wives too much, because we come into the match and the way how we display, sometimes in the ring, you can't afford for your wife and your kids to see this.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that deteriorate the whole forwardness of the game also.
Then you won.
But with this,
Again, I would like to encourage Rudy Page to let us. Well, the scoop is here now, and it's obvious that we are all still interested in seeing the game go forward. So I'm inviting this whole group to let us join with Rudy Page, take up the mantle, and see where we can go with it again.
The only way I would do anything major, as I mentioned, it would be in 2022, because that's Jamaica's 60th anniversary, Diamond Jubilee, and then it would have to be around young people. I'm not interested anymore in you old geezers. You all had your chance. And to redeem yourself, what you should be doing is helping those 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds, 8-year-old young people. That's your road to redemption. Because you can't relive them good old days, the golden years. They've gone. They've gone.
Rudy, who's that? The last speaker, Mr. Pinnock,
Yeah.
was he?
Yeah.
And he was right. He gave a hint of something that I always say to my domino players in Cosmo when they're talking about domino and crabs. Never like see one escape than the other one. And I always say to that, if not that, domino would reach far away with you. And I always defend you, and I will defend you until my dying days. But what they expect you to do can't be, because you are a businessman. You are a businessman, Mr. Page. They expect you to go out there, get everything, give them everything, and you don't have nothing.
Such as
Can't work like that.
yeah.
gotta be a manager. You gotta be everything. You are the one that make that pulling domino, and they don't expect you to. You expect them to. They expect you to give them everything, which can't be right.
Yeah.
They are not going into the people's them office to say, right, we are doing this, we are doing that. They're not doing nothing. You are the one not doing it, right? So, Mr. Pinnacle, he didn't come out full, but I come out full. They want you to do everything and give them everything. Can't be right.
Yeah.
All right,
Can't be
brother.
right.
Make we move on.
Thanks.
Move on.
Bev, you were involved with the Dominoes and how we've used Dominoes to get health promotion
Indeed.
and health advice to our community. So I'll let you talk about that for a while. Let everybody else cool down.
Spanish woman.
It all started in 2015 with Page,
Come
who
on.
yes, who is was at the time and still is the PR for the Kiwani Club of Brixton. So he brought the project to us to launch this in London. So it passed the baton throughout the UK, throughout to the Caribbean, in order to raise their awareness about the importance of us as Black people to give blood, because it's so much needed for. And as a nurse retired, I do understand the significance of that. We started off by promoting it by doing campaigning at events, getting ambassadors out there to talk to the people, educate them about the essential and the necessity of our people to give blood. We started off by doing the dominoes as well. See Sandy there, I see her a lot on Facebook. We do it by dominoes, where we had Morrison's sponsoring, and we did a big event with what was your
That was at Croydon Club.
The Croydon Club.
Well, that was on prostate.
Yes.
Was prostate health, and then Cosmo we did a little competition at Cosmo.
That's right.
And then
that's right. And then we did the Brixton Club.
Yeah.
We did the Brixton Domino Club as well, which the Brixton Domino Club I've known over the years when they were really hot and going, because I wasn't a member, but I knew people there, and I for charity we did tournaments as charities, and the Brixton Domino Club would bring do you know the Domino Club there? They were very popular. They would come into London as well, and they were a tournamental people, yeah, because that's where I'm from, Rugby. So they were very, very much in and I realized that Domino was, all these clubs, they were deteriorating because the people that created it as the Black people in the UK, they got older and they died off. Yeah, and we've got a few still going on, and COVID now has totally, I've got a set of people that still will try to get together with it to play. It's played a lot of importance in the health sector for the Black people, working with the NHSBT, which Rudy is a dark horse for me, because he has got so much knowledge that looking at, you wouldn't believe the knowledge that Rudy has got, and he shares it, and the history behind him. It's phenomenal. Yeah. And that is my take on it at this moment in time. We're still doing the campaign, but when we have events, we'll get people to register.
Yeah.
We get people to register.
Great. Thanks for that.
It's not like that. It still needs to be done. Yeah. So I've got books here still in my house. People can still sign them up and register. Am I right?
Absolutely. But there's something about dominoes which I remember I used to have to explain to people. And the best way to explain it in terms of generations, think of an escalator. Right? As we all go through the generations. So even Sandra, your sons, at some point, they may be in their 40s, late 40s now. But
no, they're not quite so old yet. Really.
Right, okay, sorry, yeah. Yeah, late 30s, early 30s. in their early 30s, and but because it's a generational escalator, and it's integrated into the Caribbean culture. So by the 50s, 60s, 70s, that is actually a great time to be in Domino's. One, because it's about the healthy mind, and we know the issues around dementia and isolation and things like that. Domino's is a game of numbers. You know, the human mind works on numbers. We understand things because of numbers. That's why Domino's is actually a great pastime, particularly when it comes to thinking. It's just that because of its social status, it's never really been recognized, because it is a game of theory, it's intellectual, it's mathematical, but because we live in a society here and in the Caribbean, which is about class and status, etc., etc. And we know that from, if you remember, when we went to Cuba, when we went to Cuba, in Cuba, they had judges and senior officials and, you know, top doctors in their team. And remember, and we were saying at the time, I'm not going to cast any aspersions on us or Jamaica. There's no way from a class-based approach would we see that in our teams, and it was true. And so, but the point being is that when you're young, it's great because it's highly competitive. It's interesting. Kids love numbers, love the competition. Then when you get to a certain age, that's a great place of solace to get away from things. But like I said, keep the mind healthy. And particularly when it comes to mental health in this, what we now call COVID post-pandemic era. So we now have a whole generation of people for the next 2 years are going to need something to help occupy their mind. And of course, we've got a new generation of elders now.
Yeah, that's true, Rudy. I totally agree with you. And we're the actual generation. We're the elders now. I mean, looking at it, I hear what you're saying, and you were actually saying about really getting involved in it again is more to do with the youth. And I really can't blame you. Although in saying that, I am going to still say we do need some of those older heads, because they're the ones that have that experience. To bring that forward. I also heard what was said as well. I'm also a retired ex-nurse. I've done my 40 years with NHS, so I totally know what it's about. I have worked with Rudy on a couple of things where we've taken things forward. I just feel, as I say, I think it's just that I don't know what it is with us as Caribbeans, so to speak, that we kind of hold ourselves back. We don't push forward for the good stuff. And most people see, Black people, we're loud and we're this and we're that, and we've got no ambition, and we've got, do you know what I mean? And so they've not taken our sport as Domino's, which we take very seriously. And going back again to what Mr. Livingston said with regard to uniforms and all of those kind of things, I think a lot of the UK teams took a lot of that from the Jamaican team in how they were disciplined, in how they were dressed, and so forth. Because for the league that we're involved in now, I mean, every single club has their own uniform colour. So clubs are identified to a degree by their uniform, and it really does look smart. It really does look. It does look.
Can I just finish from?
Okay, Bev.
Yeah, because no one, I haven't heard anyone really actually mention where the creation of Domino's, where it all. From my little research, it seems as if it started somewhere in China in the 1200 times there, in your hands, somewhere there.
No, I'm unable to give them credit for that.
Okay. It's just knowledge.
It's an African construct because it's numbers. That's where it starts. And people appropriate the origin of it.
On stage, put something out about where Domino's originated from.
I did some stuff on that and research and how it was brought through the Moors as well, and then Napoleon soldiers brought it to the UK, and they used to make dominoes out of sticks.
Mhm.
But it originates on the African continent.
And on the outside of dominoes, yes, it does play an important part in our ethnic communities.
Yeah.
Because corpus mentis, it keeps
Yeah.
them in tune with figures and communication,
Right.
you know, especially for the older ones. Yeah. I mean, younger people can, Alzheimer's is a thing that can be set in from an early stage. It's got no respect of a person when it will attack you. There's different levels of that. So if once that can be identified, in order to make them feel motivated mentally, that's a good game for them. I'm not a domino player, and people, my friends and my partners tried endlessly to teach me, but I do play. Yeah, I do play dominoes, but I wouldn't go out there in the public side of it and play it.
You can match the numbers.
Oh, no, he can tell you I beat him up all the time. Yeah. He's right here.
Come and let him show his face. Let him show his face.
So, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
There's a few friends around, but because what scares me with that sort of open forum of domino, they get very noisy. Some of them will start swearing, and I can't deal with that. You know, that side of it. So if it's a discipline thing, like what we did there now at the Morrison's and at the Domino Club in Brixton there, it was disciplined. But I've been to I love domino tournaments, but I'll just go there to join in the fun.
Of course. But you know, Bev, at the international level, when we was doing the international tournaments, it's highly disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And it's human emotion because it's so competitive. And Mr. Pinnock knew that one day England was going to beat Jamaica. So that was always the challenge. Even though I was always impartial, but them guys just needed to beat Jamaica once because they were
I think Bev, that is what makes dominoes how it is.
Yeah.
You know, we know, and I think going back and moving forward in saying that the discipline has become so much better. You know, in the league that we play in, you cannot go into the ring with your phone. That's one. You cannot have a drink in the ring, and if you do want a drink, somebody can't just walk into the ring and bring you a drink. It's got to be handed to the captain, to give it to that person. So there's a lot of things that have changed. But, you know, I hear you saying about, you know, our elderly or more older people and the benefits of dominoes. The benefits of dominoes for youngsters is equally as important. And I know that I've got 8 grandchildren.
They're not interested because we have tried in the group of adults here who plays domino regularly, as Rudy would know, and it's very difficult. It's like cricket and football. They'd rather football instead of cricket, because I'm also a part of the ACC at the Oval, and we're finding it very hard to get the younger people to come on board.
This is then what we need to be looking at.
Yeah.
We need to be looking at what is the incentive for younger people to get involved. If we're going to go back and just looking at our age group, right, and you will hear, and Milton and Roddy will tell you that through the years of playing dominoes, it's always cost us to play dominoes. All right, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, there's always a cost implication to the player, right? Even when you go to a final,
so that's
what I mean? There's always a cost. So we need to look at reversing some of that and look at how can we get our younger people interested and involved. What is the incentive? What are they going to be playing for?
My point, my point really though, Bev, just to say, because I want us to sound a positive note. My point is that in 100 years' time, people will still be playing. So there's a generational, because our generation, we can say what we've got to say, but there's a generation after playing dominoes. Still go to Jamaica now, people playing dominoes all over the island, all day, all night, in their private clubs, etc., etc. And even in this country, it's just that there isn't the profile. There's
Right.
lots of groups of people where, you know, playing dominoes, meeting all the time, every weekend, not so much around people's houses anymore, but things have shifted. But as I said, it's generational. Each generation moves on, moves through. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, because again, when I was around, first started to be around in dominoes, 1991, 92, people were saying then that dominoes wasn't going to go really anywhere, because in those days they thought that the tournaments that were around the country, if you remember, as you alluded to, they were actually coming to an end as well. There was less travel around as people started to think about, they wanted to do other things. And then of course the international, when that burst on the scene, but we still liked going up and down the country anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
If,
Well,
if I may,
Mm.
I just want to interject. You know, even cricket, whatever people say, I don't believe in never or will not. When I came into Connecticut, most people, when they mention scout, they start to draw themselves. I take cricket to a scout camp where we had like over 300 people there, a 3 black person, and I took my pad. I borrowed the thing from the West Indian Cricket Association, the pad, the cricket, those 3 stubs, and I take it there. And that is why certain game required certain people to be involved in it. Domino, you never have 2 teams at 5-all, and you're gonna be a gentleman sport to say, okay, mate, what you got? That's not domino. Domino, that's what excited drama. How much you have? Well, you know, and that's what, you're not gonna go to a cricket match or a football match and a guy gonna just play. And that is what happened to us as even Jamaican. You know, sometimes you go some places and they said, speak properly. You know, that's our culture. That's the fun of domino. You're not gonna have 2 teams locked at 5-all and they're gonna say, how much you got, mate?
But Cosmopolitan though, Cosmopolitan a few years ago showed great ambassadorship for dominoes. The amount of times that they're on the radio, on television. If you think back to all the cable TV programs at the time, Lloyd Salmon, the way he used to articulate what was going on, and then the excitement of the young players, and even in those days as well, the local councils, remember they used to have a sports day every year for over 50s. And one time we took the dominoes down there, mixed up with everybody had a great time. So it shows it can be done. We're always on cable TV, as I mentioned. You remember Channel 4 television production, the first, then Channel 1, who did the Cuba as well. Remember Air Jamaica coming back and the relaunch at the Royal Lancaster Hotel. Who would have thought that you could have a domino match in that evening as part of that? So it shows it can be done.
It can be done. It's just
If I may come in here, Rudy.
Yes, you can speak for the next few minutes because I see we're dominating you from the UK.
Okay. Okay. From I was in Jamaica, from about 23, 24 years ago, I have put an incentive on the domino, and the incentive was for us to try and take the game into the Olympics. That was our ambition. The Olympics. Every 4 years, Jamaica, England, US, wherever domino played, would have a national team representing their country. And I still think we can do it. So that's an incentive to bring middle age and younger folks into the domino.
Mm.
I remember once when I was traveling from Jamaica to Fort Lauderdale to play a tournament sponsored by Red Stripe. And this was one of my greatest moments. 35,000 feet in the air. And the way how we were attired, the captain of the flight come over on the speaker and said, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Jamaica Domino team going into Florida. Give them a hand. Mm. and we get a round of applause. That was a moment for me that I still remember.
Yeah.
When we went to Santiago, Cuba.
Yeah.
And when we marched and our country anthem was played, those are incentives that we put into the system. And if we were able to continue with these incentives, then younger folks surely would admire and would be on board. But I go back to what I said earlier on. One of our greatest enemy is always the crab in the barrel. Somebody, some group always think that they can do a better job than the next man because they feel that that man is earning some money, or he's or he's famous, or whatever.
Even though they don't know how to steer the ship.
That is correct. You give them the shoes to wear and the ship sink. And that is one of our greatest problems. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying to you, we can do it, but we just have to put a great incentive forward for people to see what they will achieve from it, both nationally and for themselves.
Rudy.
Yeah.
There's a question that Gus wanted. Wanted to playing the domino, playing with coded domino. Is it a good
about playing coded domino? You're not encouraging youngsters to play.
Yeah,
he's talking about Jamaica domino set.
Right.
If you play mental domino, right? People encourage. Code domino is just telling someone what to do.
Shall I explain?
Yeah.
There's always been some misunderstanding. We always used to say you had to be a good mental domino player.
That's right. That's right. Mental. Yeah.
But the point is, and this has always been one of the challenges, is that we had the international rules, which most people outside of the domino world didn't really understand, is that we did have the international codes. And one of the things that we said that was important is that once you set out what the rules are, and we always had two codes anyway. We had the coded players and non-coded, the mental players. So that was always accepted. It's just that in normal circumstances, it appears unfair.
They break the
and
rules,
as somebody mentioned anyway, any kind of blink, nose twitch, anything could be a code anyway. So there's no point really arguing over that as such. Right? So what we all say, those who want to play mental dominoes, they play that fine. But in the competitive sense, the rules are there for open code, and it's very exciting as well. I think we used to say no talking. You can code, but no talking, and the referee would be there, and it's exciting. It's like rugby union, you know.
And we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that spectator build sports.
They love that.
And a mental game is just you and your partner sit down there and your opponent and the reading. It can become boring to spectators.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to build a game for spectators, because you as players, I mean, you're enjoying yourself, but you need to build the sport, and spectator is what build it. So when a man said to his partner, said to his opponent, how much you have? And him said 3. And then him say, is one player you have? Because you can 4 and you can S and you can deuce. And his opponent sit down and read and say, you're a fool, man.
Yeah.
And when him rise, that's a gyrate for spectators to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So this is one of the plus of coding.
Exactly. So Livingston, if you go back to the World Cup in 1993 and the semi-final day that was on the Friday, there was a lot of tourists from other countries. They just stopped by chance. They must have just been
right
at the Oceania. In fact, that weekend of the World Cup, that was the first time that the Oceana, every single room was booked in the hotel that weekend.
Right.
And in that afternoon, you had people from all different countries, and the amount of excitement just from watching the players. They didn't know what was going on, but people picked the teams and they picked the personalities as well. So you're right. Remember, we always used to say to the players, it's about the spectators. And
yeah, spectators build sports.
And Wilton would know this as well. Milton would know this, is that what made the tours was the spectators.
Sure.
It wasn't just the players. It's because so many spectators used to go along with the tour. I mean, one year there was 150 people left the UK to go to Jamaica on one of the tours.
But I just wanted to know whether silent, mental, spiritual, or physical, Domino is a code game, and that's why they said let it be legal, and that's where you find fight breakout, because if you know it's legal to code.
Yeah.
But when it said no code, there's nothing as plain Domino. You're gonna think the eye, you're gonna win, you're gonna so when you say no code and the person make an accidentally sneeze, he's accusing the other person. So it's best to say, okay,
open code. That's why we said
that's a code. Yeah, that's why that is why
we said open code.
Because sometimes you're not coding, but because it's like you turn sideways, the judge says it's code. So people accuse each other. So might as well make it legal. That is how you have fight breakout, because people said and the guy's gonna swear blind. He didn't code. So the only thing it's about the discipline, no shouting, no indecent language, but no open code.
I mean, what that showed though, that we did have a sense of organization. If we said it's open code, but there's certain rules and there's a referee to ensure that people adhere to it or comply to it. So we did understand that. If you remember another thing as well, Livingston, when we first went there, I think you guys used to have like 550 games or something.
Yeah, 501.
And I argued, I said that's too many games, you know. And given that we just come from the UK, I think we used to cut it down. We used to argue from 300 down to 250. Some matches were 150, because we said we couldn't take people. People were drinking too much coconut water, I think, some of the players.
Rudy, if you don't mind, just a minute, sorry to interject with you. We have our young PR person in Kingston, Jamaica. He's our upcoming DJ, young Sean Grant.
Yes.
And he's the one that's going to be promoting the Domino within the community. I know.
Okay, well, welcome, Sean.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I am here in the discussion, and I'm really I'm elated, to see we have so many senior persons, in the program. But I heard you said something, Rudy, and I believe that the senior persons, if you're going to start back the Domino thing, it's just a suggestion that you use 70% of the seniors and have them take alongside with them younger players, so they can have a grasp on the sports or younger interests, because you already have this great thing going with the seniors. To break it off and start all over again, it might cause a little problem here and there. But I mean, it can work both ways, but it's just a suggestion. In our community, we play dominoes right through the year. There was a time that we had a French corner that we play French domino, and so that too in itself, let me want to really welcome the domino in the community urgently, once again, 100%. I'm willing to assist the program in any way I can, or I should say we, the community and the Citizen Association here in Hermitage, is willing to be a part of the program and to assist the program 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a long road. There's a long road for Domino's to come back, as everybody's really saying. But in fact, I did organize a tournament at the West Indian Social Club in Connecticut, supported by Najaso. And that was around about 1995. So, and also I was in discussion for a match in Cape Town in South Africa as well. So I don't know if you remember Sandra and Milton and Ruddy, the young man from South Africa who came down to Cosmo's Club. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but
okay. I remember that too when you were trying to organize for us to go to South Africa, because in Jamaica we were preparing ourselves to take that trip.
Yeah, but sometimes people have to have courage, you know.
Oh yeah.
If the courage isn't there, then, and then I even had discussions with some people here in London to do like an exhibition match in China, right? And that would have been around about 97, 98 time. So could you imagine if we'd all gone to China even then? You know, because even because remember, dominoes is a game of numbers. I won't talk about the gambling, and that's why we got on so well in Singapore as well. It's a game of numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's competitive. And the people were saying to me that they knew that this would take off. And the Shangri-La hotels were willing to support us because obviously they're an Asian chain because of what we'd done in Singapore. So, because we'd already been, the fact that we had actually been to Singapore showed that we had a track record, you know. It wasn't just talk. Such is life.
So Mr. Page, and I'm going to call you Mr. Chairman. Where do we go from here now? This meeting today, to me, is very encouraging. Where do we go from here?
Well, for now, we just talk. We just talk and relive the memory. It's the golden years.
Okay.
To be honest, if I'm honest, there isn't the energy again. There isn't the energy again around the table to lift up and do what needs to be done. Unless the only way it could be done, if there's a younger generation who've got the drive and say, well, tell us what you did, tell us about what mistakes you made, you know, what worked well, then we can tell them. But for our generation now to try and think that we're going to do that.
Yeah.
What about mentoring?
It's too high to climb.
How about mentorship? The old, like, you know, like you guys.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We're happy to mentor. That's the best we can do. It's us to Mr. Pinner. So when I said that in 2022, the only thing I would do is support a youth development, a youth festival or youth world championships, whatever it is. But other people will have to do the work. But in spirit, we would support and say, well, look, we got it this far, but your generation, you have to do it. And when I say your generation, we're talking about people in their 30s and 40s and maybe 50s now.
Okay.
That energy and strength and the wherewithal to do it has to be done by that generation, because we did this 30 years ago. I mean,
yeah. So if we could get a group of young people from these youth clubs, as you know, the one example, the Pollard's Youth Club there after school. If you could get one group of young people to get it to be interested in the domino and see how much fun it is, that would be something diverting them from other things that probably would do.
I would look at it the other way round. I look at the other way round, Bev. The energy has to come from those who, there has to be the desire. Because 30 years ago, this generation, the desire was to better dominoes and get the respect. And
that could be a sort of discipline for them to learn as well.
Yeah, but I think, Bev, I think you need to, and I agree with what Sean said. I think to get the dominoes back to a level, and I'm agreeing with what Rudy's saying as well, I think for those of us that have been involved with dominoes for over 40 odd years, the passion is still there, but the energy isn't. We're all getting older, but there are still a generation of younger domino players that are playing within league settings now that have got different visions. They've got different ideas. We still need to involve these younger people. And I'm talking young men in their 30s and 40s that are actually playing dominoes.
Or they could invite us though, Sandra.
And
they could invite us.
And they could invite us as older mentors to still come in and to support. And as Rudy says, to say, well, this is what we done. This is where we think we didn't get it right.
Yes.
And let them use that as a platform to then move forward. But to cut out regular domino players that play within a league setting altogether, we're going back totally to square one. And if these youngsters, and I'm not talking the regular domino players now, I'm talking youth from youth clubs and so on. If they haven't got that same passion for dominoes, then there's no point. They've got to get the passion from somewhere.
Well, that's it. You have to have that example set.
I said it earlier on. What is the incentive for younger people playing dominoes? Let us not go back or down that old road where we're still trotting down that road, where as older domino players, it's still costing us in our pockets every time we go to play dominoes.
So Livingston then, Livingston is currently the president of ICD. So again, Livingston, you're in touch with that generation, those in their 30s, 40s, 50s, say. That's where the strongest, the energy and the strength is there, the experience, and maybe the material support in order to do things. I mean, what are your thoughts really on that?
Well, for me it is simple. If I go back to Jamaica tomorrow, and because when I was president of the Jamaica Domino League and then Jamaica Domino Association, the entire fraternity was linked. I could know where to find everyone. If I go back to Jamaica tomorrow and say to these guys, I'm back and we're going to start the domino thing again and show them how we're going to start it, it wouldn't take me, I could click my finger and get it done, because the footprints that I left there is still there. Still there. And even for the International Council of Domino, we have a website. I keep getting email from people all over the world asking me for help, how to organize a domino thing, etc., etc. So if we have the vision, we can make it mature. Trust me, we just have to put our best foot forward, and it can be done.
I think
under your leadership, Mr. Pinner.
I think to Rudy that. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Rudy, I really do believe too that the older folks, I'm not sure of elsewhere, but here in Jamaica, the older folks are the ones who really settled into that sport. Younger folks doesn't really see the sport as the older folks do, you know. The younger folks will join in, you know, on our domino table, on our domino corner, because we have a domino corner here, you know. And you have the older folks who continue the sports. They have the passion for it. They have the time to, you know, to really aggregate around a domino game.
But Sean, let me just say to you, I understand what you're saying, but what we're talking about, there's the competitive side and the team sport side of domino, and the clubs, and they're still there, pretty you know, well organized. So we're not talking really so much about the leisure side, right? We're talking about that competition side. So that still exists in Jamaica. We see the tournaments. They get minimal sort of sponsorship, but the point that everybody's really saying is because we've been there. So when we're talking about the international, you know, as we said, traveling from UK, Jamaica, Cuba, Singapore, being on television, being on the radio. We used to be on IRI FM all the time, JBC TV, JBC radio as it was then. You know, every time the teams came in, they would be met, they would have receptions, would play at all the big hotels. And that's the world that they're talking about, really. And what Livingston's saying is about how we can get back there if it's possible. And then what Ruddy's saying, and Milton and Sandra, is that we've been there, we're not sure it could ever be like that again. So in a sense, Domino's had so many different levels that a lot of people don't realize where it got to, because for the last generation now, they're used to just seeing it played just locally.
Okay.
So that's the point, really.
Yeah,
Whereas
I'm gonna
Mr.
make a little
Pinnock now,
short piece.
so one last
A
point then. So
little
Mr.
short
Pinnock
piece.
now, why Mr. Pinnock is important is because he's still ahead of a Domino organization. And as he said, he still has the connections in Jamaica. And he's passionate about you know, something being done. I'm interested in, but I'm not passionate about it unless it's related to something that has a social benefit to the community. Otherwise, I'm not really interested. That's the difference.
I am passionate because I have a dream, and I would like to see Domino reach to the Olympics. I would like to see when every 4 years you have the Olympics.
Yeah.
A Domino have a representation in each country, and it is, to me, it's easy. Like in the US here, I said to the guys, bring together a team from each club to represent your country. I said, US have companies that will put money into Domino as long as they see you guys are positive. If you have 30 clubs, pick a pair or two from each club. Form an association, America Domino Association. Have it registered, and you have your tax ID and everything. Companies will give you money as sponsorship. I said to the guys in Jamaica the same thing. I said to the guys in Cayman the same thing. But somehow, somebody put their foot forward to start it, and the crab in the barrel begins again. This is one of our major problems, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me.
When I heard crab in the barrel a couple of times, could you explain what you mean?
It's about leadership. It's about leadership.
The crab in the barrel is that there is always someone, and that someone will bring together 2 or 3 other persons with them, and they start think their idea is better than yours, and you have an in-house fight. That's what I really mean.
Then, Mr. Livingston, this is why, although you say it's easy, it's not easy. We've been trying for the past 30 odd years to get to where you want it to get to, and we've not done that. And I think we need to be really, really realistic and to really consider the younger people that are actually still actively involved in Domino's, and we need to listen, because there's a lot of them actually saying they're not heard. They are not listening. And if you look at this group, as great as it is, there is not a younger person, apart from Sean right now, there is not a younger person that's really in this group to have a voice. So we may have that dream and that passion. And I mean, I'm 63 now, I ain't hiding my age, all right? I've been involved in Domino's from when I was in my 30s. And I'm still involved in it. But where has Domino evolved? I've had a great time with Domino's. Nobody can't take away my memories. I don't know if I'm going to be here to see Domino's get to Olympic stage. Without our younger people involved and them having their own vision, let our vision go. We tried our vision. It ain't worked. 40 ideas coming, it ain't work.
What does it take? What does it take, Rudy, to get the Domino into the Olympics? What does it take?
No, see what the vision was before, Sean. It's not so much in my mind anyway. First of all, was that if you think of every 4 years.
Because I don't cut you. I really do believe that if the domino is at the Olympics, if it is advertised that this is a sport in the Olympics, then we will have no fingers to count young people.
No, but
get involved into that.
It's more complex than that.
Complex.
Okay.
Much
Tell me
much
about
more.
that.
If only. See, in my mind always was that what we could do is that we could have had our own mind Olympiad, basically. Because domino is a mind sport. So what would happen every 4 years, whichever country where the Olympics would be held, in that city or in that country, we would have a similar mind Olympiad. But all of that takes so much organization and collaboration. And even back in the old days, we had serious big challenges from a leadership point of view. It's just that people didn't see when the time came what had to be done to ensure that the tournaments took place, and and the tours took place. So there's always going to be challenge from a leadership perspective, but it's whether you want to be involved in it. If you're determined to lead, I mean, that's what leadership is about. Are you determined and then competent to ensure that you get everything over the line? And so, as alluded to by the others earlier on, most players didn't understand what it took to get those tournaments on, get the sponsorship, and communicate clearly what's going on, so that the sponsors were happy, and most important, the spectators. That's the thing. So it's a complex web of things to be done.
How far is the chess thing? I don't want to stray away from
it's far.
How far is it straight? Because I realize that there is a chess competition, a world chess competition.
It's far ahead. Again, it's massive. It's massive.
Okay.
It's massive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Rudy, if I may come in here and respond to Sandy, is that to me there's a thing in life we call persistency, and if you develop that attitude that you persist, you don't take no for an answer, one day people will understand. Persistency.
Yeah,
persistency.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, Mr. Livingstone, which is why I'm still involved in Dominoes. And I mean, as I said earlier on when I was speaking, which is why I've been involved with setting up a ladies team over here. We're called UK Diamonds, right? We've gone around the clubs and we've played against the men and we've beat up a few of them and so on. It's the whole excitement of do you know what I mean? But this is something again, right? Earlier on it was sort of said, that, Dominoes, we know, is predominantly a male orientated game, all right? And so before I got involved with Dominoes, my husband used to go and play Dominoes, and I'm sure many others, men used to go and play Dominoes. They never used to bring their wives or girlfriends, never used to bring the kids, never used to do none of that.
Yeah.
Well, we changed that. So we've made some changes, right? It's taken an age to actually, even for women to just be recognized as being good domino players. We've got some brilliant women domino players. You're going to sit in front of your partner, as I did with my hubby. Yeah, we had our own code because that's the league that we play and it's a code league and all the rest of it. And I'm sitting there as a dummy holding the dominoes for him. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, and I'd be trying to say to him, hold on, if you just hold on, let me tell you what we have in my hand then. But no, they want to take the lead. But behind every good man, there's a good woman. And if they just take some of that on board. So we decided, was it last year before, we're going to set up a UK ladies team. There was one previously, but we set up a UK ladies team. We took encouragement from watching the ladies from Jamaica, from watching from Canada and US. You understand? So we want it to evolve. We want Dominoes to move on, right? But we've got to have the support from everyone to do that. Dominoes has firstly got to be recognized as a sport. And that's one of the hardest things that we have had with being in leagues and so on, where I've been vice chair for league and so on, where we have gone to various different places to just try and get dominoes just recognized as a sport. All right. And you have to go through this whole heap of paperwork and whole heap of thing just to get it recognized. We need to start. We've been trying. We have been trying. But I kind of agree with Rudy. Do you know what I mean? I love dominoes. I still will always love my dominoes. But my passion and heart for pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, I haven't got that kind of energy anymore. You know,
You need help.
I'm a grandmother of 8. I'm a great grandma of 2. I love it. And I want my grandkids and my great grandkids, they're all involved. They come up by me now, Nana, where's the dominoes? I'm getting them out. All right. But for us to move as an independent and an international body, we've got to all work together. And we still need to work with, as I said before, some of the younger playing domino players that have got that energy and have got that passion. And we, as the older generation behind, backing them up. But they've got to take some of the lead on this as well.
Sean, that's your generation. So your generation, Sean, really has to understand from people like Mr. Pinnock.
Yeah.
Because he gives you the Jamaican context.
Yeah.
And where Jamaica really led the way in terms of, as was mentioned earlier on, the dress, the discipline, the organizational, everything was topped with Jamaica.
So we could set up a world domino organization here in Jamaica. Is that what you're driving?
No, we're just talking about just the regular organization of the game, you know, because see, dominoes would have been accepted as a sport, could have been years ago, because sport is about competition, it's competitive, it has rules, you know, easily laid down. People forget that when football in its early stages, we're going back before the Industrial Revolution, people used to run from one field to another, from one village to another, just tackling people all over the place. Yes. It's only after the Industrial Revolution where you had football pitches, you know, all laid out nice and neat stadiums. Yeah. So everything human beings do starts from humble origins, simple things, looking at things, doing things, competing. Then they make it, you know, strata, organizational rules, and things like that. So
what you're saying in short term is that, Sean, the sport committee can start looking at a way of not really starting, we could not just start a domino club, introduce domino at a young and a tender age, and as usual, you know, incentive, you know,
girls and boys as well. Don't make the
girls and boys. Yeah,
don't make the
the club
of having all boys this side, and the odd girl can go in. Because again, there's that whole thing around respect and community cohesion. The future, and there will be a future, as I said, because of the generational escalator. That if now the intervention is that, you know, you can have, you know, girls and boys teams. There's nothing wrong with having separate competitions, but what you're trying to get over to everybody, it's that respect, because the only thing holding back dominoes is the lack of respect, as been outlined before, for leadership, organization, and things like that. And people thinking that, you know, as long as they get what they want, somehow it doesn't, the rest doesn't matter, when of course it does, because no one gets anywhere.
I really do believe that structure in though, Rudy. It is in our it's within us to structure the sport if we are so interested in it that we're having a forum at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, I really do believe that we could try our best to structure the sport. I know that for competition we would need sponsorships for competition, but to structure it first, and then we'll move on from there as to see how far we can take it to. But as for now, I really did believe my generation would subdue to the fact that there is a domino sports if it's structured, and they will participate as well.
Okay, Sean. Through you, Rudy. I see. Wayne want to say something for the longest while. What?
Roddy.
I see your hands up there.
Yes, Mr. Pinnock. Yeah, I was just coming back to your point where that you were saying about you'd like to see Domino at the Olympics. And what I can say is that it's going to be extremely hard. And the simple reason is this, is that they don't look at Domino as a sport. We have approached the British Olympic Committee. Yeah. And we wanted was to ask about Domino being represented at the Olympics. And the first thing they say to me, but Domino is not a sport. Domino is just a little game that you go into the pub and you knock around and you this and you that and you that. And our argument to them was to say, if you're going to say that, then dart is not a sport. Snooker is not a sport either. Because all they do is throw a dart or they pat a ball. And you're saying to us now that these are sport, but Domino is not a sport. And Domino is a harder game to play than what these people are playing right now. So it's going to be extremely hard. We got to prove ourselves, as they were saying, we better go down on the knee, because that might be the way they're looking at it. So we have to prove ourselves to these people that Domino is a sport, and it can be an entertaining sport also for all the spectators to see their team taking part and, doing what they're doing and doing their best what they can be done. So it's hard work to be done. And right now, as Sandra was saying, most of we, except Sean
and me,
you all.
Me and Sean.
Rudy. We do all now, so we have to get the younger one them to take up the baton and start run with it and see what can be done.
Hand it over to Sean.
No, well, to you, Rudy.
Yeah, let me just say this quickly, then I'll come to you though.
Okay.
Is that at the end of the day, we have to collaborate within ourselves. It's a collective responsibility. We're never, ever going to get away from that. There's never going to be external recognition if we can't internally organize ourselves and present ourselves. Because the sponsorship is there. Livingston knows from all the Jamaican key companies will always sponsor a good Domino tournament.
Do we have anyone on the continent of Africa playing the Domino sport?
They do play.
Yeah, all over the place. People are saying about South Africa.
So let's start it from there. Let us legalize our sport from the original place that it is from.
Well,
and start it from there.
No, let us organize where we are. This is the point. Let's organize in Jamaica. Let Jamaica have the top Domino tournament in the world, where everybody visits the country to play and learn about Domino and enjoy the food and the leisure and the people and the culture. It's as simple as that. It's a simple strategy. But
okay, let us do that then. I'm up for that.
Livingston.
Yes. To answer the question of getting into the Olympics, we had started and we met with the chairman of Jamaica Olympics Association, and he gave us advice of how to go about it, and he was supporting us a whole lot. Unfortunately, I migrated, and my assistants down there was not able to carry the mantle, so it faded. And this is where we come up with the idea of looking at all the clubs within the countries and forming an association, put together a national team, because you have to come at that level where you have a national team. And Rudy, Milton, if you ask Rudy here, I keep asking for you and country, because I see you, Milton, and country as being two of you with Rudy support all Domino players, give you guys a respect over there so much that if you guys were willing to take the mantle, they would have listened to you and follow you. So we just need to have people like this in every country and build a national team. And when every country have a national team, then you can make representation to the Olympics. And to me, it's not hard.
I agree with that totally. Yeah, and as Rudy would know, with myself and country, I mean, sometimes when you're dealing with, and I'm gonna say it, with our people, you know, some of them are too negative. You get what I'm saying, you know, and you're showing them points and you're showing them things, and you're thinking way ahead of what they're thinking. And the negativity, you know, bits and pieces, you know, sometimes I just say, I'm wasting my time by doing this or doing that, because you know,
man.
But
yeah, we did manage from them.
Yeah, but we did manage to get a World Cup. We go to
go
to Singapore, get on television, get on BBC Radio 4, BBC Radio 5.
Can you hear me?
We did all those things, didn't we?
Galaxy 6 want to say something for the longest while.
Galaxy 6 come in. And then my friend Philip Bedwood from New
Can you
York,
hear me?
he will come in afterwards.
Wait, you come back?
Ruddy.
Right. Yeah. What I'm saying, I am very hurt and surprised. Because, you know, when I used to go to Domino early tournament from the Guinness League.
Yes.
When the Guinness used to sponsor the Domino League in England. And then we improved to the British Domino League with you coming in. And the stage that we reach, I am very, very disappointed to see where we are now. We're nowhere forward. And again, it's because same thing what Mr. Pinnock says, the crab. And it hurt me because I was saying Domino was good. Domino gone now. Gone all the way. And where's Domino now? Nowhere.
You know what? Some people, you may remember that I had a friend of mine, he had a car dealership, and I got him, and he was going to give us a Mercedes. You remember?
Yeah, that over Wembley.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Harrow.
I remember that, the second-hand Mercs.
Yeah, second-hand, and people wanted to argue with me because it was a second-hand Mercedes.
I know.
that shows you.
Even if it was a third-hand, something good.
And when I was saying to people, look, don't worry about it's a used Mercedes. Just think about the publicity and the coverage.
Of course.
But if somebody handed me a used Mercedes today, I would take it.
Of course.
You see, Mr. Pinnock is saying about the crab in the bag.
Anyway.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
I'm still willing to work with you guys. If you guys are ready, I'm still willing to take up the button and follow. As long as we come together as a group, you have my support. So let's keep it going.
Yes, okay. Well, we've got that younger generation that Sean represents.
Very hard. The younger generation is very hard to get into Domino.
No. When we're talking about that generation below us now. We're not expecting children and young people to lead, but there's a generation. People,
yeah, I know.
They already work with young people. They already know the importance of Domino. So for that generation, for us to support, absolutely. And I'm willing to support, but not lead. You know, those days have gone. Right, Philip, hold on a second, Dean, hold one sec, Dean, hold. Philip Bedwood from New York, are you there? Right, go on, Dean. He's not.
I was just saying to Philip, when Philip comes on, Sean's neighbor is a Bedwoodite, so to see before you know, Sean neighbor is an original Bedwoodite, and Philip is related to Alexander Bedwood.
Great Alexander Bedwood.
And Sean Neighbor also is related to, you know.
So that means that the ball is in your court then, Sean. Much is expected of you then, really, all of this. It's on your shoulders.
I will do as much as I can, you know, as
Well-
I'll stand as strong as my shoulders can can manage. I want to ask a question though, because this is beside our point. Rudy, you've been in around this program for 30 years.
More than 30.
Or more.
Yeah.
But you still look like 16. What is
I
happening
know.
there?
Clean living, Sean. The other domino players, they can't say that. And not one of them have ever beaten me, you know. You know that? Only because I never used to play.
That is so true, Rudy. That is
I used
so
to refuse to play because I know that they wanted to beat me. And I said, no, I'm not playing.
So you stay young. You stayed young because you didn't play well, or you play well. That's what are you saying?
He wouldn't play.
I'll leave that open.
He'd get them to play.
He wouldn't physically participate. But you see, Domino's has kept, if you look at the group and even how we maybe come across and articulate, it has kept all of us very young. All right. So I would never ever knock Domino's. Never ever. It doesn't matter. Whatever anybody else outside wants to say, Domino's has taken me to some brilliant places. I have met some wonderful people. So if that alone is what I've got out of Domino's, so be it. You know, I had my 2 sons when I was pregnant with my big belly going around on coach, playing Domino's. It was great fun.
I'm thinking, Domino.
Do you remember when we went on the boat from over to Lime Key?
Yeah.
Oh, from Port Royal to Lime Key.
Yeah.
So if we could, I want to say something. If we could, we're speaking about building the sport, right? If we could find ways and means to have it in the curriculum, because it is a kind of a way to do math. It has a lot of math in it. You know what I mean? So if we can have that in the curriculum for the primary and prep school kids, then we will be on our way to seeing a great future in Domino's.
This is a great point, Sean, because even in this country, years ago, I think either before the wars or between the wars, Domino's used to be used in school as a way to learn and comprehend numbers. But it's just as a society and its attitude towards culture and social norms, because it's a game of numbers. How could it not be good for people to learn, or young people?
Well, in Jamaica now, you know, there is this group named Sports Development Foundation is subsidizing a Domino group down there to take the Domino into schools.
No,
so they're getting fun from it. And Sean, if you go to the International Council of Domino website, you and I can communicate through that, and I will give you all the assistance that you need to work down there.
Yeah, I'll give you the link. Sorry, Sandra, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I'm hoping that obviously I know maybe the main base for this and where it's coming from is going to be from Jamaica, which is fine, although I wasn't born there, but my parents were, and I go out to Jamaica every year. So I'm well known out in Jamaica just for that. But I hope we do keep it international and don't let the other countries feel they're getting left behind. I think this is what's happened in the past, and this is something that we need to learn from, is that it cannot be so one-sided. It's got to be balanced across the board so everybody knows what is going on. All right, I mean, we had a group of domino players from UK that have got involved and really want to get involved with the international side of dominoes. I don't know if Mr. Pinnock was involved in it. Anyway, it was with a team from, it involved a team from UK, US and Canada. And the team from UK did come to, from US rather, did come to UK last year.
A team came, it's not the
a team came, it wasn't, say it was the original international team, But you know, you've got these
representative,
sort of
right.
teams. But it was something obviously that we found that generated a lot of interest because people wanted to be involved in it in that way. It just was once again coming from the whole organizational point that you needed to have someone that is exactly on point and knows what's going on. But you know, it would have been a great, you know.
I am aware of these guys who came up there,
Yeah.
but their style is not conducive to the growth of Domino. They come on a thing they call playing money match, gambling.
Right. Right.
You know, I'm totally anti that. You know, I'm not for that. You know,
and yeah, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is because I'm saying that obviously it is something that those younger domino players wanted, and they were either just trying to, you know, just to get a point across to say, look, we can do this, we can. But you realize that it needed some obviously older heads to actually make sure that everything was structured in the right way. But it's something that, again, we can't just dismiss it because it did happen. All right. And so it's something, as I say, so everybody's singing from the same hymn sheet, that it's not just either left in the US or it's not just left in Jamaica. It is international. If we're going to do it, it's internationally done.
I mean, the savior for me, the savior and the credibility will be through education, used as an educational tool, because we talk about young people need somewhere to go, they need something to do, and they need someone to show them how.
Yeah.
The Dominoes is ideal for that, but it's the social construct around there.
Yeah.
Around that, are there individuals, are there, and you touched on earlier on, are there adults who are going to allow young people to also occupy that space and give up some of their time to allow the young people to play and then mentor them at the same time? So all of that is an internal. That's an internal mindset shift. And there's nobody on the outside who's going to assist people to do that, because, you know, how can they? This is the thing. That's a cultural shift.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. But I think, you know, looking back, and it's something that I've spoken with other secretaries from the clubs that within the league that we're in at the moment, albeit we've not been able to play no dominoes because of COVID-19. But looking at it and looking at some of the clubs when we were actually going around, we're realizing that a lot of those clubs are very aging clubs. I've mentioned it earlier. And if I take my club and just use my own club as an example, we've not actually recruited any younger players for how many years?
Yeah.
So we're going along, still a brilliant club, because I'm not knocking my club, we're good, right? But at the same time, our players, our members, I mean, you know, no disrespect, Rod, you've got grey now, all right? We're all getting there, all right? So, you know, we haven't got young players.
But then, Sandra, if you think back, though, think back to the first Domino Youth Trophy we had with the 3 teams.
Yeah.
Right? Cosmo had a team. I can't remember who else. And we had my kids and a team from Harrow.
Yeah.
And that was 25 years ago, because that was because we said we are determined to put young people a chance.
Yeah.
To occupy the same space as the adults. Just like we had the women players, we were determined that women should have a space in that same area where the men had been playing and just to themselves. So again, that cultural shift, and that was 25 years ago. So
I can't even believe it's actually that long.
Yeah, April 1995.
My God.
London Domino Festival.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we were also promoting Anthony Nolan Bone Marrow Trust.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's how we got onto ITV and all the rest. But so it's not as though we don't know what to do. It's been done. Exactly. So we can't escape. We can't escape our own collective responsibility. This is the point.
No, and I totally agree with you, Rudy. I really do agree with you. I think, as I said, we've made a rod for our own back, because I think even when we had that competition in '95, the more senior players did not take that time out to
Exactly.
encourage
Exactly.
and support the youngsters.
And bring their own children.
Exactly.
Somebody said to me the other day, which is so true, I'm doing some work in North London, the African Caribbean Cultural Centre, and the same issue they've got there. And the person said to me, you know what, Rudy, when I go to this centre, this cultural centre, people who are there do not bring their grandchildren.
Mm.
So if you don't bring your grandchildren, then which children do you expect to be there? Which youth
Exactly.
do you expect to be there?
Yeah.
And we hear this all the time, more young people. If you're not even going to take your own children,
Right.
what youth do we, how will they get there? Who's going to take them there?
It's true. I mean, even you know, going down to my own Domino club, I bring my grandkids,
Exactly.
and they love it.
Exactly.
They love it.
Ruddy's
I'm only one of how many?
Ruddy, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself first. He's shouting at the camera.
He's done it before. Oh, I think he's doing it now. No, he still ain't done it.
Right, it won't let him unmute.
No, he's
Yeah, that's the thing though, Sandra.
Yeah.
Unless again, we'll just get, plus we're not here to lecture anybody, but it's so simple.
A lot of it is
Bring young people. If we bring our own families, we had a youth tournament and I brought 2 of my children. It's no use me saying bring young people and I didn't bring and don't bring my own. I brought my own children and my friends' children to and that's all people had to do, didn't they, at the time? If only 25% of the adults who were playing dominoes that day had brought their grandchildren and their children's children and their friends, look how many young people and how many of those young people would still be involved today.
Exactly. And they did enjoy
and what
it.
we can do too, we can do too when we're doing competitions, we have seniors and juniors competition. Not just seniors alone, or I call it a domino competition, but a domino competition with seniors and juniors, 2 different trophies to play for. And that would kind of, you know, amalgamate the thing a little better.
Yeah, even if you said, Sean, look, we're not going to run any domino tournaments unless there is a youth in there. As part, and then say to adults, please help, please support, do some mentoring and get involved.
I think you've got to make changes. I think you know, I mean, to move on, you know, you've got to take some of the things where we in the past have made those mistakes.
Yes.
And we're actually saying now,
exactly,
we need to get, it's not that we didn't try and get youth involved. We did. And we had competitions for youth and so on. It's got to go more than that now. It's not a matter of just saying you're going to have a trophy for seniors and a trophy for youth. First and foremost, you have got to get those youth involved. You have got to get them interested. And if they're not interested, then where are you going?
I'll just show you the trophy, Sean.
So Miss Rudy, we are 42 minutes over time. But however, I will have to leave in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to go to the three or four.
Because we could go on like this for the rest of the day because the conversation is so interesting.
Yeah.
However, I just want to point it out. One of the reasons why I think people were reluctant in bringing out their younger folks to matches is that because some of the players then would have displayed a level of very gross indiscipline, and people really don't want the children to see it or to question them if this is what they leave in their home on Sundays to take part in. But from my perspective, I think we have come a far way with the discipline in the game. The referees are the experience I'm having now, especially in Jamaica, when I get back reports, is that the referees are on top of the game. The referees are making themselves perform in a very responsible way, because they know that they are the person who is responsible for the smooth running of the game. And if a player or his partner don't want to listen, then you suspend them.
Of course.
So I would say the level the level of discipline has improved a lot. And so therefore we are on our way to continue with this progress. Again, I'm saying that I'm happy to meet this group, and I do hope that Rudy, you will convene another meeting like this in a very early time.
Yeah.
And then we continue with it and see if we can be the builder of taking it forward. Because we the same how we take the time out today to come to this meeting, we will continue it. And then surely we would have said to ourselves, it was good to have started this first meeting. I want to thank you all, and may God bless you all, and may you have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You do the same.
Thank you.
And you keep safe.
Thanks everybody for being on this forum.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thank you, Rudy.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Invite.
And stay safe.
The golden
Yeah,
years.
I hope.
Sean, call me.
Oh, sorry, everybody's talking. I hope, Rudy, moving forward, that yeah, we will have another meeting, forum like this. I'm hoping that it's maybe we have something a little bit more constructive to be giving feedback on, rather than we just all sit in. I'm quite happily sitting in my front room on my settee, having a natter with a group of friends, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think if we want to be moving it forward, we need to have some form of agenda that is going to actually move something forward, irrespective of how involved we get with that. I think we've already made it very clear, Rudy, we're getting on.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm being very honest. As I say, I still have a love and a passion for the Dominoes, and I think I always will. But I think I'm going to hand over my mantle to somebody that's a bit younger. And I would really encourage that we maybe get some of these slightly younger Domino players into this forum as well, one or two of them that can articulate what it is that they see, what their vision is, so that we can actually help them to move forward as well.
Well, Sean will be taking the lead on that.
Right.
And he will link directly with Mr. Livingston, and myself and Mr. Livingston speak all the time.
Yeah.
So that will be the link. So Sean, it's in your hands.
I think he's going to want some help with getting links from various.
No, we're going to help him, but he's going to have to lead.
Okay.
See, the notion you can play no ragamuffin music.
We've been leading, Rudy, you've been leading. We've all been leading for a long time. We're tired now, Sean.
I've been leading in too many areas.
You've been leading in so many. You've had your fingers in too many pies sometimes. I felt it for you. But it's all been good. It's all been good. And there's nothing negative about what's happened. It's where it is where it is, and where it's meant to be at this moment in time. Exactly. And so none of us we're not going to knock ourselves out because it hasn't got where we hoped it would get at this stage. Yes, 35 years on, we're still here to tell the tale, and we're still playing dominoes, eh, Ruth?
And you're so right, Sandra, because
I have no problem. I have no problem being a part of this, because I have seen benefits on screen where the domino has kept you guys very young.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I can just imagine how long Mr. Roddy has been playing domino, because long
nobody
time.
can beat me. Nobody can beat me at the game of dominoes. They can't beat
right.
I mean, that's but Sandra said something that was important there, is that what she also made the point of what we're really talking about, us as Caribbean people, and it's all areas of our lives. So I've spent years in the hair care industry. I spent years in health, community development, dominoes, other sports. So it's just a challenge that we have.
Okay.
You know, and we're trying our best to transform ourselves at the end.
Yeah, that's it.
So, sorry, Rudy, not being rude. Yeah, but you did say that you've been in the health hair industry. So what do you here?
I knew he was going to say something stupid.
I can answer that because bald is a hairstyle.
Tell him.
You tell him again, Rudy.
If I want
Tell him again.
I can have
Like my hair, is a style.
And you will bring that style, Rudy.
Yeah, my one is a style as well. Look, lily white.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta go. So
we're an hour late. We've all got to go. We're an hour later than planned.
yeah, I know, but I hope that you all have a good Christmas and keep safe and keep good health. And all being well, we shall be doing the same thing again next year. Okay.
Yeah.
Same to you, sir.
Take care. Thanks
very
a
much.
lot.
All right, yeah, same to you.
Rudy, I'll talk to you on the phone.
All right. Cheers.
All right.
Bye. See you,
Okay.
Sandra.
Adios.
Cheers.
Pop the
Bye-bye.
live talk, Sandra.
All right, darling. Yeah. It's just Milton's leaving my house. You know, I'm still here.
All right. Escort him off the premises.
What Milton doing with the house?
Usher him out.
Not too fast.
All right. Later on.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot.
All right, Rudy.
Great.
So
Great.
you're going to
time.
shut off now.
Yeah.
So, Rudy,
Thanks very
I'm
much.
running downstairs and everything. So, as Milton says, we'll talk.
Yes. Okay.
Careful,
will
mind
talk
your
before.
fall.
All right.
Huh?
Mind your fall. Don't run. Just walk downstairs. Okay.
Take time. Take
Yes,
time and go
yes.
downstairs.
Uses a
Oh.
stick.
I won't fall.
All
I'm too used to the stairs. I won't fall.
I want to see you on the next forum.
I will. Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
Maybe
All right.
in the
All
See
new
you
right,
all.
Sean.
Have a great Christmas.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
Have a lovely
Well, I hope we meet up before the Christmas anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Sean, give me a call if you